Hey friends, welcome back. Sir Ezra the Watchful here, and another quick. I like to do these in batches, as you can tell. I like to just dive into topics, talk about them, get my thoughts out there. So, was thinking about the Mandalorian trailer, and was thinking about Din Djarin, and where's he gonna go? What's he gonna do? How does he track down the Jedi? Where do you start? We did. I think it's coming out. Either Wednesday or Thursday this week over on Hyperspace Hangout. Matt and I had a nice podcast last week where we talked about the trailer, kind of broke it down, and looked at where Din maybe is headed, who he's going to encounter. There's a mysterious individual in the trailer who looks to be, well, just because of the narration from the armorer seems to be Force sensitive, or maybe related or associated in some way with the Jedi or the sorcerers, the Force wielders, whatever the Mandalorians want to call them. And I was thinking about that character, but then also thinking, how is Din starting off his search? You know, where do you go? Which outpost? And all this stuff, you know, in a lot of the canon novels, in the big build up for their Galaxy's Edge park, you have the idea that there's collectors, people. There's even a book called The Force Collector, right, where you have these objects that are that were once owned or were owned by Jedi or belonged in the Jedi Temple. So do we find one of those artifacts? Do we go to one of those dealers, and from there then start to kind of trace the steps back to either that Jedi or some of the places where the Jedi fell during the Clone Wars? One of the thoughts that I had was that, do you start to retrace the steps of Luke Skywalker, the most famous Jedi, in the galaxy right now at that time? I don't know how well known it is that he is a Jedi or Force sensitive. We do know, right, that he is a hero of the Rebellion and now kind of a New Republic hero. We don't really know what Luke Skywalker is up to. There's some indication from the Battlefront 2 game and other comics and things that he's out searching for artifacts. So it'd be interesting to see Din doing the same thing. What advice does he get? Where do you go to find the Jedi, to find these Force wielders? And why wouldn't Luke's name be mentioned at least? I think it would be super cool to hear the name Skywalker dropped in the Mandalorian series. Just to hear that by itself would be fantastic. I'd lose my mind. lose my mind. So, also, you could see maybe the early days of Luke kind of recruiting students. Maybe you come across one of those students, and that's how his name gets dropped. I definitely don't think Luke Skywalker is going to be in it or anything crazy like that. But I just think if you're a Mandalorian trying to return the child to his people, how do you do that? And do you go back? Do they know about Master Yoda? And would you try to go back and get some of the Jedi archives, or go into the Imperial palace, right? That was where they took over the Jedi Temple, and get some of the records and figure out where to go from there. What's the tie to Ahsoka? I guess if you started asking around other Mandalorians, people that you trust, they might say something about Sabine. Right? Sabine's name might come up. The Darksaber comes up. And then from Sabine, you get to Ahsoka. And so I think that's why it's interesting that folks are looking at that trailer, the Mandalorian Season 2 trailer, and seeing a mysterious figure who looks like she could be Sabine. And it makes a lot of sense. They don't say it. It's not like a huge reveal to where... we still don't know who that character is, I guess, right? So they didn't come out and say this is Sabine and like totally surprise us. We still are going to be guessing, and it could be someone completely different. But I find it really interesting and intriguing. And Matt and I were looking at those planets and trying to decide, where do you go if you're Din? Do you seek out other smugglers who maybe were moving Jedi artifacts? Do you go to Jedi temples and search? Which brought up Lothal, which brought up possible Black Spire connections, if you want to tie in some of the novel stuff, Ilum, right, Kyber crystals and such. So, yeah, I guess I kind of want to know what people think. Do people really think, like, where do you start that search off? And it had me scratching my head, because the more I thought about Luke, I said, I don't know if Luke actually... if it was that well known that he was a Force sensitive. I mean, maybe that he's Force sensitive, but that he's a Jedi. And so, if you've read any of the comics or any of that Star Wars canon, and it actually comes out and it's known at large in the galaxy, then that would be interesting for Din to look into. A reason why he wouldn't is because that's not well known, right? I think people, when Bloodlines first came out in the new kind of Star Wars canon novels, Bloodlines came out, and we learned that Leia Organa had hidden the fact that her father was Darth Vader. Not many people knew that. That's a big secret that is leaked. And since she kept that from the galaxy at large, knowing it would affect her political career a little bit, yeah, I mean, do people really, I guess, do people know that Anakin, right, or that Darth Vader was Anakin Skywalker? No. That wasn't well known. So, I don't know, maybe kind of, like, who do you turn to, right? Who are those Jedi that that may escaped? And it just leads you down an interesting train of thought that if you were to go back and search for Obi-Wan Kenobi's journal or something crazy, I don't think they're going to do this, but I love to speculate about it. I love to think about where they could go or what they could do. And after seeing season 1, right, after watching what happened in episode 1 of season 1 of The Mandalorian, the fact that you did something that bold, you took what George Lucas has always been preaching to Dave Filoni and other members of the crew back when he was doing Clone Wars, back when he brought back Darth Maul, which is to be bold. Don't be afraid. Go for it. Something we want to do, we're going to do it. We're going to make it work. Darth Maul was dead. And George said, no, he's not. I'm going to bring him back. So I think that's it. That's interesting. And you have Dave Filoni who's woven. There's a lot of he's always coming at it from telling George's story and making George's story better and trying to take the parts of it that George was really trying to communicate to us and amplify those. So I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if he took that same. I wouldn't be surprised, I guess, if he took that same spirit and tried to really, I don't know, just shock us in some way. Why not? Why not go for it? Who says you can't? I think sometimes that they play it too safe, and we really want for them to be bold. I want to see Ahsoka. I do want to see Sabine. I do want the Jedi to be woven in here, and I want to go back to the origins of the the Darksaber. I think that would be really cool. Now, at the same time, I don't want Din Djarin to be overshadowed completely. I want this to still be his story and his journey. So we'll see. How do you balance all of that? I don't know, because, well, I mean, look at the child. The child completely, we can. I mean, Din, like they're a pair. I don't know how you can separate them now. Like he was such a big deal in season 1 that it's going to be hard to do or hard to see them separated or what have you. So I don't know. Thoughts, comments, leave them down below. I'd love to discuss more with you guys on what you think. Where do you pick up the trail? How do you get the child back to his people, back to the sorcerers? What do you do? Where do you start? Which planet do you go to? Which temple? Which Jedi are you looking into? Leave me a comment down below. Please please subscribe. That really does help me out here. I appreciate everyone who has subscribed. It's been a lot of fun meeting some new folks here. And again, Hyperspace Hangout is the podcast. We have a YouTube channel, and we have a podcast where we kind of just discuss in long format, 60+ minutes of us just talking about Star Wars. It's a lot of fun. So, all right, friends. Well, with that, thanks so much. And as always, may the Force be with you.